I want to welcome you back into IGGY Sports Talk, and I'm excited to continue this Friends series. You know, last time we had one of my best friends, Jonathan Gaffney, on, and this time, funny enough, we have his girlfriend on, who has been one of my lifelong friends, Taylor Aselin. We've known each other since like middle school or something like that.
Yeah. I wish I remember the first time I met you, but I don't. But I just always knew you, I feel like, since I moved here.
Yeah, we always had like similar friends, and I think, you know, being able to still be able to stick to being friends like throughout not only middle school, high school, college, and even after college. And something that like I really cherish about our relationship, which I feel like is really important for, I guess, any male or female as well, is to be able to have the other sexes as a friend, to be able to, you know, not only speak about you know, their experiences and compare it to your own experiences, but even if you're, you know, going through relationship issues, you know, with the other sex, being able to get their viewpoint and being able to understand sort of how you're living life and the experiences that you've gone through, so that I can apply it to myself.
Definitely. Yeah, because if you just have like all girlfriends or all guy friends, like you just get very like much the same kind of response. You need to hear the other side.
I think that's so important, and there's a lot of times where you know, people can get caught up in the idea of, you know, having a friend as a girl, and I remember even all throughout, you know, like middle school and like that sort of stuff, I used to get crap for it. People are like, oh, you're in love with them, and like it's like, no, I'm just, it's a friend that's a girl. I think being able to get that other viewpoint is so important, and that's something that, you know, I've really learned a lot from, you know, our relationship is understanding, you know, the struggle of, you know, as a girl growing up throughout, you know, middle school and high school, and you know, some of the comparison syndrome that comes with being a girl on social media. You know, for myself, you know, we've talked about it a lot. You know, I've always been, you know, called small or scrawny growing up, and as a guy, I would always compare myself to the people who had like muscles or something like that. But I know, like, as a female, especially growing up throughout middle school and high school, it's a really difficult to not compare yourself to other people.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the first time I started doing that, I was 8 years old in third grade, and I never realized it then, but now I realize it's because I was watching my parents start new diets, which they had my whole life. But for some reason, when I was 8, it really impacted me. They started Weight Watchers, and so I started it with them. And I was an 8-year-old girl, like I was so tiny, and that's the last thing you should think about when you're a kid. Like you should play and like not care about anything else. And then, so I started dieting. I remember I would go to kids' birthday parties and stuff, and I would refuse cake or ice cream or pizza. I would ask for vegetables. I would let myself have a treat once a week. So usually
At 8 years old?
At 8 years old.
Wow.
So usually every Friday I would have my treat for the week. And like, I don't know how I was so disciplined then. Like, I could not do that now. And then that kind of followed me into middle school, and it kind of became like a competition in my head against all of my friends. And like, I felt like if you were the skinniest, if you weighed the least out of everyone, then you were like winning, which is so awful. I like don't know why this took over me for so long. And so I would continue off and on dieting. Of course, I developed like eating disorders and body dysmorphia and stuff like that. And then recently, through reflecting, I've realized that like I pretty much do that when I'm feeling frustrated or I'm in like a bad place. Like it will come back and I'll not eat on purpose because I want to feel the hunger. And when that's happening to you, like you tell yourself that's good to feel because it means you're like limiting yourself, you're hurting yourself. so like it's good. It's hard to explain.
Makes sense.
But I did that for so long. The most recent time, not to say that I'm perfect and I've got it all figured out now, but the most recent time I was doing that, which I was doing it throughout college too. Like, I'd have times where I was like really lonely and felt like I had no friends and was having a hard time in school and like just kind of putting myself out there. Like, I would just sit in my dorm and either binge eat like just tons of crap and then like not eat for a few days, or I just, was just focusing so much on hating myself, which is horrible. And then the most recent time was during quarantine, which of course like a lot of people were really down in the dumps then. I had this little stretch where I was eating like 400 calories a day, I want to say, and like working out for like an hour every day. And it was really bad, and I like sat myself down and I just was like, this is not healthy, this is not okay, I need to change. So from then on I have been better. Of course I still struggle a little bit, but like a huge part of getting over that was like becoming more confident with who I was as a person too, which I know you can kind of relate to also. But like especially in high school, for so long like you're just comparing yourself to everyone.
Yep.
And social media just like puts you against everyone, like even your best friends. And that's all anyone ever talks about, like, oh, you have like such long legs, like I wish I had your butt, like I wish I was that skinny, like they look so good. That's all it is. And so you learn that like it's a competition and you're constantly competing with everyone else. But for so long in high school I like hated myself, and it wasn't like who I was as a person, because I've always loved myself that way, but I just felt like I was constantly failing in the competition. Because like you can't win if that's how you're thinking. So one day when I went to college, feels like one day, I don't think it was, but I just got so sick of it. I was like, you know what, like I'm done, I'm so over this, I'm sick of hating myself. It takes so much energy and time to hate yourself. So I just faked it. I was like, I'm gonna pretend like I'm the hottest girl in this room. And it honestly works. Because like, if you think something, like if you think you're the best or the prettiest person, who says you aren't? Like, it's all in your head.
When you said faking it, the reason I laughed is because I've done a lot of that. And I haven't honestly thought about doing that in a little bit, because like that's like especially after my breakup, and I really started to develop anxiety really bad, and the overthinking got really bad, and I remember I would just like fake it, put a smile on my face. And something that I'll never forget is I remember in high school I filmed a video, and it was called Love Yourself, and I remember I made a YouTube video like literally telling people at my high school that like, you think I'm happy, I'm not. But I think especially growing up, like not only throughout high school with that comparison, and really competing against yourself, because like nobody else around you knows that like you're comparing, or it's a competition. You're the only one who's telling yourself that. And I feel like as well, not only in high school when you're trying to fit in with the people that you've been around for the last 12 years, but also in college when you're really trying to find yourself. And you're also seeing girls like putting themselves out there, getting with guys, and doing things that may not be like healthy, but it looks cool because they're fitting in. And so especially with that comparison, how were you able to not allow it to impact who you truly were and how you were truly showing up every day?
So I feel like I just kind of had to go through it. Like, I feel like everything happened for a reason, even if it was like I was in a really depressed time in my life, where I just like felt so alone and like was crying every day and like binging and then not eating for 3 days on end. Like, I just had to go through it to kind of like put a stop to it and just decide, like, you really just have to decide you don't care what anyone else thinks. And once you kind of make peace with that and like put that right in your frame of mind, like, it starts to develop that way. Like, you think that way and your confidence can grow, and then you get more comfortable, and then you can kind of figure out who you are, because like I'm still figuring that out. Yep. I think everyone is.
Everyday process.
Like, no one can tell you how to do that. Like, you just kind of have to become you. And like, a lot of times people will ask me like, do you miss high school? Like, it was so great. And I don't at all. Because like, I feel like I was this weird version of me that was like so small and like hidden, and I was shy and insecure, and I was just not happy. And like, now I just feel like I'm myself, like that girl, like multiplied by like 400 or something. Like, I have just grown so much, and like, you just have to, over the course of years, you just have to like be more comfortable. And even now, like, I have days where I'm like, I don't look good, like, I should lose weight. Yep. But those are just like past habits coming back, trying to tell me I'm not good enough. But I just tell them to fuck themselves. Because it doesn't matter.
I feel like the feeling of like not feeling good enough is something that like I remember I had a realization of like where my anxiety stemmed from, and that's it.
Yeah.
Not feeling good enough.
Yeah.
Whether it's in school, whether it's in society, just personally, like even like with girls or something like that. Like, if I get rejected, I don't feel like I'm good enough. But you know, thinking back for you to that time in high school, you know, where you were not feeling confident or you were feeling insecure, what advice do you think that you would give to your younger self?
Well, that's a good question. I would give her a big hug. And like, in some ways I feel like I would tell her all these things, but also like, she had to go through it all to really understand. But I would say, like, honestly, nothing really matters at all. And if you see someone that you want to be like, if they're like the coolest person in the room, if they have all these friends, if they're super social, like everything that you've been too scared to be, like, you can be that. Like, you literally just have to pretend you are, and it will happen. Like, it will just follow through. So like, literally just be comfortable in yourself. And like, I think I needed to learn how to trust myself and calm myself down, and like, you have to like comfort yourself a little and reassure yourself. That's a big one.
Right.
Like, you can't look for reassurance outside of yourself.
And especially like, you know, those days come up like out of nowhere when, you know, you wake up and you just don't feel yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, some of those negative thoughts start creeping in. You start overthinking, questioning different things, and I feel like figuring out a way to, you know, have like a routine or like a way to, you know, nip that in the butt so that it doesn't affect your entire day is so important. And, you know, you and I have talked a lot about you know, like positive affirmations, you know, whether it's through also like through music as well, just getting in a good mood. And so, you know, when you do have those days, is there anything that like immediately comes to mind that you do to like help you reignite your positive energy?
Yeah, so sometimes I just need some space to be alone. Like, I just need to have a day where I'm just feeling things and sad and whatever. And then the next day I'll be fine. But sometimes if I'm feeling that, like, I just have to like literally look in the mirror and be like, no, you're fine, you're hot, like, don't listen to this bitch in your head.
Yeah, you're your own height, man.
Yeah, you have to be. And it's kind of fun to be. Like, I was always afraid, like, I knew girls in high school that seemed like really cocky, and like people would make fun of them for just like, you know, thinking that they were pretty, which like now it seems crazy. Like, why can't I think I'm pretty, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's great to be your own hype man.
Yeah.
And like now, like, I even find new ways where I'm like seeing where I've grown so much in confidence and like really not caring. Pug was giving you a kiss.
You give me a little smooch.
Yeah. So like I hadn't gone like to the actual gym in like years, like since before, like right before quarantine. And I'd just been doing like home workouts and all that and like going for runs. And then I found out my mom was still paying for my membership at the gym. Like, she never canceled it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start going again because I loved it. And I put on like biker shorts and like a crop top, which is something I never would have worn like 2 years ago to the gym. And I always saw girls wear that stuff and I was like, wow, I wish I like didn't care. And I just like literally just didn't care. Like, I'm like, I'm wearing what I want to wear. And if someone's creepy to me, which of course has happened, like any girl will say that, you just have to tell people off or give them a stare down, which is also kind of fun. But I remember I went and I wanted to lift, and there were these two old men, and I go right between them and I just start lifting, like, don't even care. And like at that moment I was like, I'm so proud of myself because like there are so many times in my past like I would have never thought about doing that, and like I just said fuck it, like I'm here to work out, so are they. I don't care if they're looking at me weird, I'm gonna say something, because you have to defend yourself too.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And I've noticed myself get a lot more confident in not those specific types of situations, but like more of like the not caring about what is going on around you, like the people that you see, and like that's even like you know, if I want to go up and introduce myself to somebody, or you know, learn more about like if there's like a business owner or something like that, I want to go up and introduce myself. Like in my mind, I would be like, no, like they don't want to talk to me. Like, why am I going to waste their time? Like, or something like that. But like just seizing the moment and just being able to not allow the external forces to dictate the actions that you take, and really just doing it for yourself. And that's all you should really care about at the end of the day is how you're living your life to the fullest in every single second, and not allowing, you know, what you're making up in your mind that people really aren't thinking to dictate that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And it was like, I was just so proud of myself because like there had been times in the past where I was like afraid to go to the gym, particularly like when I was down at school in Rhode Island. I would drive like a town or two over to go to the gym there, and there was this guy that worked there, and he was just like all over me, and at first I was like, oh, like attention's nice, that's cool, and then it just got like creepy and creepier, and like to the point where like he would say things about following me home and like all that stuff, and like he found my Instagram, like literally just knew my name, and like I just didn't feel safe going there anymore. So like that was horrible, like the fact that he worked there, and I felt like I couldn't go.
Yeah, that's not right.
So yeah, so for a while that's what stopped me from going. And then today I'm like, something like that ever happens, I'm standing my ground, telling them off, like, or I'm asking for help.
Exactly. So, something that just came to mind that I think could, you know, I'm dealing with currently, and I think could help a lot of people, and something that you dealt with, you know, throughout your life before a year ago. is being able to find comfort in being alone and being with yourself.
Yeah.
Now, you've been in a relationship for the last year, and it's been amazing to see both you and John grow through that relationship. But you and I had a lot of conversations before you embarked on that new relationship about like being comfortable being alone, and this is something that through my 3 years of being single is being able to embrace that and not allow it to impact your confidence. And that's a word that we've talked about a lot so far in this conversation, is that confidence. And that's something that even, you know, when I do get down on myself about, you know, maybe opportunities not arising for me to meet new people or you know, embark on new relationships, and just believing in my mind that like everything that I'm going through right now, you know, and I'm not really alone because I have people like you, I have great friends and everything like that, but it's really to help me grow and learn more about myself and feel comfortable being alone. And so like, how valuable was that time for you, especially before starting a long relationship like you're in right now?
Oh, it was huge. So like, I had never been in a relationship before that. Like, I'd have things, but like they were nothing.
Right.
But I think it's like interesting because like when your confidence is so low, like you're looking for people outside of you to make you happy, which is what I had done all through middle school and high school. Like any bit of attention I was getting, like I put so much weight on it. Even if I wasn't interested in the person, which is just like absurd, but I feel like a lot of people do that, like not just girls, guys definitely do that too. But like it just took so long for me to like finally realize like I was wasting so much time on people that didn't even deserve me to like breathe near them. Right. You know, like they were like honestly jerks. And it's just crazy. I was like looking for validation and trying to create happiness from them, like and so finally, like I think honestly maybe around quarantine, maybe a little before, I was starting to realize like it's just me, like that's the only person I can always count on to make me happy, or should always count on to make me happy, you know, not that other people don't, but like you need to be able to do that for yourself, otherwise you're going to be miserable forever.
I remember right after college ended, that was a really difficult time for me, just mainly because I was so used to having my friends like 2 seconds away. And I lived with 5 other roommates, so like I was always around people. And especially, you know, with my mom in the last year getting married and, you know, living with her new husband 2 hours away, and, you know, me really getting the house to myself, which, you know, especially when you're younger, like, open house, let's go. Like, but I remember I would use watching Red Sox games to like not allow myself to remember that like I'm completely alone. Like at least in that current moment, and that like and especially, you know, with getting a full-time job and getting my schedule a lot more busy and not maybe being able to see friends as much, that's something that has really made me cherish my alone time. And I remember, you know, before you got in your relationship, you know, you would always talk about that. You know, I love being by myself, and that's something that I had always like strived for. And you know, it's funny, even like last night, I was supposed to hang out with one of our friends, and then he ended up having to reschedule because something came up. And you know, I was like, I'm excited to be home alone and, you know, watch what I want to watch and do what I want to do and be in charge of like what I'm doing. But like before, it would be like, dang, like I have to be by myself, like I'm all by myself. But like being able to reframe that in your mind and over time being able to get comfortable with the fact of that, I feel like makes you a much stronger person.
Exactly, I agree. Like you just have to find comfort in it. And definitely like after college, like it was a huge adjustment. Like you're with people all the time and then suddenly you're alone. Especially because COVID happened right then, like as we were finishing it. So it was like a really weird time, but like you just have to figure out, like make peace with it. Like have fun with yourself, take yourself out, go on dates, read books, like work on things you've been wanting to do. Like,
Yeah.
I'm still doing that. Like, last night I started learning the guitar.
I saw that on your story. You're like, no better time
Yeah.
but right now.
And I don't know why I didn't start that, like, during quarantine.
Yeah.
I guess it just had to wait until last night.
Yeah.
But, like, there's always a good time, like, for you to sit and be alone and do things you like to do and figure stuff out and learn new things.
Right.
Like, you kind of need that to be healthy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And like, that's also something that, you know, especially, you know, sometimes with that alone time or like wanting to embark on like a new hobby or something like that, being able to get out of your comfort zone and fully focus on the growth of that.
Yeah.
I think is super important. And you know, you brought up college and,
Yeah.
you know, something when we would speak and catch up, like when you were still in college and we were still going through that, it was really interesting to hear about you learning more about what you would want to do after college, because that's something that, you know, you and I talked about not only through the end of high school, but even through the end of college. Of, you know, I remember you mentioned that, you know, I have this degree, but like I don't know how I want to use it. And I feel like there's a lot of people who, you know, are currently in that situation or are dealing with that. And you know, I even have a good friend who is a criminal justice major, and he doesn't even want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so through that experience, how were you really able to learn, and even through, you know, a year and a half after college, what you really wanted to do and use your interest to find your passion?
So I still really don't know.
That's okay.
But I have made peace with that. And like, even in high school, I remember starting to feel that pressure, like from society or from like what I thought my parents were thinking, or from friends who already thought they knew what they wanted to do. Like, all of a sudden, like, it was just getting like so stressful. And I remember having like a million breakdowns and like towards the end of high school and college, because like, how can you know what you want to do when you're so young? It's kind of crazy. And so I remember being really afraid for college to be over for so long. And so I went in to college undeclared for the first 2 years, and then I still didn't know what I wanted to do, and I had to declare. So I picked communications and media because that was something like natural for me, and I liked communications because it could be applied to like a bunch of things.
Right.
So I still had room to kind of decide. And then I finished that, and then I went right working at this like farm stand ice cream place. And then I started working at a salon and a spa, where I actually was kind of using my degree, and I was managing 3 social media accounts for businesses, and I was like in guest relations, and I loved that a lot. And now I am getting my real estate license, which I'll also be using my degree somewhat. But like, I am not I'm taking away all expectations from whatever I'm doing, because I just want to like try different things and learn and see how I like it. Because like right now, I feel like I always thought we like right after college we'd all be doing what we're supposed to do for the rest of our life. But that's
do the same thing for 30 years.
Yeah,
right?
that sounds terrible to me. Like, I don't know why that's the norm. But I want to do a bunch of different things and just see what happens, and like move around and travel. So for right now, this is what I'm doing, and I've like gotten so much peace from being okay with that.
One word that you brought up a few minutes ago that really hit me, that like I dealt with at the end of college, I'm still dealing with it right now, is the unknown.
Yeah.
And I feel like being able to embrace that unknown and get excited about it instead of scared about it is really valuable, because I remember like right at the end of at the start of my college career, I was like, at the month of May, when I graduate, I need to know exactly what's going on, and if I don't, I'm completely behind. And that obviously goes into what we were just talking about, but I think being able to get excited about the unknown and not allow it to debilitate you and put yourself down and really be able to go in multiple different avenues and not know exactly where you want to go like tomorrow, and being able to embrace it and go with the flow is so important.
Definitely. Like it just, and it's like honestly a daily thing. Some days I wake up and I'm like trying so hard not to freak out because everyone around me seems to be so busy with their lives and everyone's starting their own thing. But then I just realized that it's also like, as it is scary, it's also so exciting because anything can happen. And like this is like school forever has always been like, all right, like we're in middle school, we're gonna prepare you for high school. All right, high school, we're gonna prepare you for college, and then no one like helps you really after. So like it's all on you. Like you can do anything. And like especially in this time when we're like, I feel like a lot of people are more lenient on like letting us figure stuff out. So it's been fun.
And especially, you know, with the unknown and not knowing exactly what you want to do for the rest of your life, I think for people who might be feeling that, whether, you know, they just graduated high school, or, you know, they're going into their senior year of college, or even if they're out of college and they're you know, in our positions or even a little bit older, what advice do you think you would either give to those people, or maybe even your younger self of how you've been able to learn more about yourself through this process and to not be scared about it but embrace it?
So I would say it's okay. Like literally everything's okay, especially if you don't know like what you're doing or what you want to do. I think you just have to kind of literally, this might sound stupid, but just sit down and make a list of the things that make you happy, including like all your hobbies and like other things you like to do, and go from there. Like you always have that. Like if you take a job like that you don't necessarily love, like you still have this list of everything you love to do, and you can always do that at any time. Or you can pick from that and kind of go into a career from that. I think like the best thing is like try different things out. Like maybe even if you have an idea of what you want to do, maybe just wait to do it. Just try other things and like kind of see what happens. Because like there's so much freedom that you have and you don't really know. So it's just kind of like making peace with that and like really knowing like the things that you love to do and stuff that makes you happy.
And at the end of the day, that's really what's so important, is being able to live each day happily and being able to like make those memories that you'll always be able to remember. And one thing that, you know, I want to the last subject that I want to end all these conversations with, because I think this reflecting on this is so valuable and can really impact a lot of people, is what have you learned over the last year, whether it's about yourself personally, relationship-wise, or anything like that. If you want me to go first, I can go, and then that'll give you some time to think about it. But for me, you know, I want to change it up from what I said with John and I's conversation, and it's with the subject of the unknown and being excited about it, and you know, being able to explore as many opportunities as possible. And you know, for myself right now, you know, I'm currently trying to figure out, you know, what I'm going to be doing next year, and whether that's finding a new job, whether it's you know, wanting to move out of the state or something like that, and getting excited about those possibilities, but like also not attaching myself to anything. And it's interesting going through I guess this phase of the unknown, because when I got my most recent job, like there wasn't really tons of unknown. Like I knew where I was going to be for the next few months, and I think now I'm looking at it a lot more open-mindedly and not really putting parameters on how I want this to be, and if it isn't this way, I'm going to be upset, or I'm going to allow it to impact me. And being able to be open to everything, attract everything, and know that at the end of the day, it's all going to work out how it's supposed to.
Exactly. I would agree with all of that. And like particularly in the last year, I've learned so much, like especially being in a relationship for the first time, which like I'm still learning how it kind of works for both of us, especially with communication. And I've found that I've been really proud of myself because like I look at my parents' relationship and I think about the things that I don't want to recreate from that, like the things I don't want to be. So I've been working on that within myself to not just copy what I see and to just kind of be the person that I want to be in a relationship. So it's like there's been like a huge learning curve there, and it's been like really cool to kind of discover that about myself, that like I see the things I don't like in other people and I don't automatically become that. So I kind of pick who I want to be, but also like learning to create a balance as well in a relationship. Like you can't just spend all your time together, as fun as that would be. Like I still need to have my alone time and be by myself and find comfort within myself. And then just a lot of stuff about that. So like communication, and then like being with a person like so close, like which I've never really had that way. And then it's allowed me to reflect too a lot on like stuff in the past, like what I was putting up with, why I was putting up with it, like why I want to punch myself now. But like I just needed to go through stuff and to grow and realize my worth and how I should be treated. And I've had that, so that's been cool to see. But
it's so important. Yeah,
it's been like a lot of reflecting. So
I feel like that reflection is also so important, just with like day-to-day stuff. You talked about like not like using, not allowing what other people are doing to dictate how you do things. And also I feel like it could be the same thing with not always thinking that what you are doing is 100% correct, and that maybe you could change things in a little bit of way through reflection, to even be better at for tomorrow. And like that's something that I've been really trying to work on, is every situation that I'm in, or maybe how I react to different things, maybe if like through reflection thinking about ways that I could have improved on dealing with that situation, or if maybe I didn't really like how I spoke to that one person or said something, and but like you're not able to fully realize that obviously in the moment, but being able to have that awareness and willingness to realize that you're not perfect, and everything that you're doing isn't always correct.
Exactly. But I think just like acknowledging the things you need to work on and trying to be better and trying to be the person that you want to be every day, and like setting little goals, and also like reacting in the moment the way you want to, like putting thought into everything you do is like huge. And I think you just like excuse me I think you just like grow a lot from that, so it's been cool to see that in myself.
I feel like you and I have grown so much in the last year or so, and that's like, even when John and I were talking, that we both said that I think that where we are right now is the best place mentally that we've been since high school, really, in all of our lives. And it's been really cool to see all of our friends being able to learn more about like who they truly are, learn more about their passions, and how they want to spend their every day. And I think as well, like that's one of the things that like I was so excited about doing this series, is being able to showcase these conversations. And I feel like being able to use reflection and talk about these above surface or below surface level sort of conversations is really important, because it not only like helps us learn and reflect on different things, but people who are listening or watching, they're definitely going to take something from this. And I feel like I feel like with the dynamic of like a female speaking and a male speaking, it's so important, because they'll connect to either one, and be able to take something from it. But I really appreciated this conversation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are going to take a lot out of it. And like I said with John, like I think I got to do this much more.
Yeah.
I think even, you know, when we're hanging out sometimes, even if I just like put like a microphone in the middle and just see what comes out, who knows? But I think being able to, you know, have conversations like this and make it normal, and to promote that, I think is really, really cool. And even, you know, we talked about what this conversation, what we wanted to really talk about before, but I think it evolved into many different things. And that's one thing that, you know, I like about these is, you know, when I do like an interview or like a podcast, I try to just make it a regular conversation, because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Exactly.
And nothing needs to be set up, and, you know, there doesn't need to be a script or robotic or anything like that. But if you guys have been enjoying this, let us know. We greatly appreciate everybody tuning in. And you know, as I said, I want to do this a lot more. And if you want to see this a lot more, let me know. So and I'll do it. But greatly appreciate everybody tuning in as always. And you know what, we'll end it with this. Continue to be yourself. You are good enough. You are loved. And just live each day like it's your last. And we'll see you next time. Peace.